Hello, and welcome to today's special Christmas Eve episode of Dream Business, Dream Life. Now, for me, there's something about Christmas, the slower pace, the quieter energy that makes it feel like the perfect moment to just take a breath and look back with honesty. So I thought, I'm going to press pause for a moment. I'm going to spend some time with you today reflecting on the year that we've all just lived through. And in the spirit of the classic royal Christmas speech, I thought, being as I did it last year, let's do it again. Obviously, not as formal as the royal speech, a little more grounded, absolutely no grand surroundings, just a moment to speak heart to heart about 2025. Because this year has been, well, let's just say it didn't come wrapped in a neat bow. For many business owners, we felt the weight of the market shifting. Sales have taken longer. Buyers have been more cautious. And I know to many of you listening, it sometimes felt like you were working harder than ever just to stand still. Now, you weren't doing anything wrong. It was simply a year that asked a lot from you. It asked for more patience, more resilience, more emotional energy than anyone could openly admit. And when that happens, it's so easy for us to slip back into old habits. The constant pushing, the constant grinding, the constant hustling, the I'll just try a little bit harder type mode. That instinct to hustle your way out of uncertainty, even though deep down you know it's the very thing that drains you, the very thing that you want to stop doing. But if there's one thing that I want you to take from this conversation today, it's that you did it. You got through it. And that alone, in my opinion, is worth acknowledging, is worth celebrating. This year challenged almost everybody that I've worked with and everyone I have spoken with too. Consistent sales felt harder. Clarity felt fluffier, less clear. Keeping your head above water felt harder, and yet you kept going. You kept showing up. You kept serving your clients. You cared for people in your business, your life. You cared. You did the best you could with the information, energy, and capacity you had in that moment. And that is something to be really proud of. Now, for many, 2025 felt like the latest reminder that winging it will only get you so far. Because when the market slows down, when your audience starts to feel more cautious, when your calendar is full, but your revenue isn't matching it, you're going to realize how much you actually crave structure. Now, I'm not talking about complicated systems here, not heavy tech bills, not complicated stuff, just calm, clear foundations. Things that support you instead of drain you. Things that help you to grow instead of make you feel like you've got to work harder to make them work. And funny enough, and I suppose it's not funny, of course it's going to be the case. That has been the theme of my year too. But maybe it's been a little bit more intentional for me. Because this year I made a decision to slow down. Not because things were falling apart, not because I wasn't loving what I was doing, but because I wanted to build my business in a way that genuinely feels good on the inside. You know my backstory. I've built the business that's taken over before, and the one thing that I refuse to do again is exactly that. So I spent a lot of time last year grounding myself, creating space that I needed to be able to get the clarity that I needed. I gave myself permission to go at a steady pace instead of constantly running and sprinting and doing everything at warp speed. It wasn't the kind of year where I was going to rush from one thing to the next. It was the kind of year where I was saying, okay, let's just do this properly. Let's get this structure in place so that when I do want to run, I have everything in place already. And in that calm, in that slowed down, I found so much clarity, slowing down didn't hold me back. Slowing down actually helped me to see the bigger picture clearer than I've ever seen it before. I thought it was clear at the beginning of 2025, but boy, it wasn't. Now it is so much clearer. So from that calm, steady place, I've still achieved lots of things. I've launched my mastermind, something I've been dreaming about doing for a while, and the people in there have achieved so much. I have loved every minute of it. I also launched my first ever retreat, the Dream Retreat. And despite that not happening until September 2026, spaces are already very limited. I've hosted 2 growth events. Those growth events still make me smile when I think about the people in the room. I feel honoured that I've surrounded myself with people who genuinely lift me up. And I've been able to do that because I've done it at a slow, steady pace. And at that slow, steady pace, my revenue has still continued to grow year on year. What I did was not loud. I wasn't shouting from the rooftops for my growth. It was much more grounded. Growth that was built on structure and systems. And you know what? That is the kind of growth that lasts. That is the kind of growth that has sustainability. But more than anything, what this year has given me is the foundations I need for 2026 and beyond. And I think many of you are craving that same feeling. Not the next big tactic, not the secret sauce, not the secret strategy, just more clarity, more stability, and a business that actually supports the life you really want. And as I look towards 2026, there's one theme that keeps coming up again and again, both in my work and in the conversations I've had with business owners across the board. And that's connection, real human connection. Moving into 2026, that is going to matter more than ever before. Not the performative, created, slightly artificial version of it, but genuine connection. Conversations that actually mean something, relationships that actually matter. Being someone your audience can actually trust, not because you shout the loudest, but because you show up with honesty, integrity, and warmth. People need to be able to see what you talk about you doing in everything that you do. Because people are tired of all of the noise. People are tired of all of the hype that people put out there. People are fed up of being sold dreams without substance. And what they want, what you want, and what your clients want is real connection, real care, and real support. And next year, the businesses that prioritize that will be the ones that are going to thrive. But before we think too much about what's next, I want to invite you to do something that many business owners skip, even though it's the very thing that creates clarity. And I want you to review your year, not from a place of judgment, not with a list of, I should have done this, not with frustration because you didn't achieve something you wanted to achieve, but with honesty and with curiosity. I want you to think about what worked, what didn't work, what drained you and what lit you up. Where did you grow and what held you back? What stopped you getting the growth that you were hoping to have? What are you proud of? Even if it's something only you would notice, what is it you're proud of? Because reflecting on your year isn't just about picking apart what went wrong. It's about understanding what you want to take into 2026 and what you finally feel ready to leave behind. I know there's things I'm leaving in 2025. There's people I'm leaving in 2025. There's offers I'm changing in 2026. And that is a really powerful place to start your year. So I want you to do that. I want you to do that reflection piece and really think about what are your non-negotiables for 2026. This is how you're going to grow with intention. This is how you're going to step into the CEO role that you are playing within your business with confidence instead of chaos. This is how we build businesses that feel spacious, aligned, and more importantly, sustainable. And if whilst you're doing that reflection, you realize that you want support next year, support that is grounded, honest, strategic, and truly aligned with who you are, then hey, come and explore my spaces. So, as we wrap up this Christmas Eve episode, I'd love you to take a moment, just a quiet moment, to recognize something you might not have given yourself credit for this year. You didn't just get through 2025, you grew through it. Every time you kept going when it felt easier to pull back, every time you chose integrity over shortcuts, every time you trusted yourself, even when the results were taking their time, every time you looked for meaning instead of just listening to the noise, every time you did those things, you were building something far more valuable than just momentum. You were building resilience, and we all need to be resilient to be business owners. You were building self-belief. You have to believe in yourself if you want others to. You were building the foundations of a business that aren't going to crumble the moment the market wobbles, because we've experienced that this year, and we're going to experience more of that, because that is the business cycle. And if this year feels like it's stretched you, it's because you're expanding. If it's frustrated you, it's because you care. You care what happens. If it's felt heavier than you've expected, maybe it's because you're carrying more wisdom, more experience, and more self-awareness than you've ever carried before, but you're not quite sure yet where to put that. Nothing that has happened this year is wasted. Not the slow months, not the doubts, not the lessons you didn't want but somehow had anyway. All of that has helped to shape you with such intention. So you're walking into 2026 with clearer eyes, with stronger boundaries, with a deeper self-knowledge and a fiercer commitment to the kind of business and life you actually want. And that matters so much more than whatever goal on your list you didn't quite tick off. So as you sit here today, maybe by the tree, maybe in the quiet of the house that finally feels still, I hope you give yourself permission to feel proud. Not because everything was perfect, but because you showed up with heart, with courage, and with the quiet determination that so few people ever see. Yet it's the very thing that is going to carry you forward. So take this moment to rest, to breathe, to be a human, not just the business owner. To remember why you started and to reconnect with the version of you who believed all those years ago that you could build something meaningful. Because you still can, and you still are. And next year, you're going to be doing it with far more clarity than you've ever had, with far more experience than you've ever had, with far more knowledge than you've ever had. I truly hope that this Christmas brings you peace, connection, and time to actually take that really long, gentle exhale. And when you're ready, in your own time, take a look back at your year, not to judge it, but to learn from it. Not to rush you into making changes, but to step into 2026 with intention. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the work you've done this year. And I'm excited for the work you haven't yet even imagined. So I just want to leave this by saying Merry Christmas, and here's to a new year built with clarity, connection, and the kind of confidence that comes from knowing who you are and where you are going. Have an amazing Christmas and a wonderful new year. I will see you soon.